feed them in here because like everything likes their food. When I would feed them out there, there'd be like a dozen wallabies and then crows.
Oh, no shit.
You know, it's like, I've never tried it, you know, maybe it is actually just really fucking delicious. You know? Yeah, I've never thought to, but who knows, there's got to be something in it. It's like sort of like everything is after it, you know?
Yeah.
The Putter's Warpath Quest. Lo and behold, the quest awaits. Yonder here. Come with us. Alright, so we... Oh, what's this? Guys, come and have a look. What's the name of this band? And tell us what you do. Yeah, this is IRONHAWK. I'm Simon.
I'm Mitchell.
And I'm Ange.
I play guitar and sing in IRONHAWK.
I play drums.
And I play bass.
Something in you. Question 2. Alright, guys. Tell us of the dark and mysterious origin tale of IRONHAWK. Who, what, when, where and why. IRONHAWK was a bit of a sort of exit project in some ways that Mitch and I had both run our course in a couple of other bands, Bulletproof and Bastard Squad, namely. I was on my way back from Melbourne, lugging all my gear back, and I thought, geez, I could really fucking do a band down here. And we'd kind of been hanging out in a similar group of people. I think it was a bit of a late night one time down in Mully's basement in Devonport.
Yeah.
We thought, I'll fucking, like, you know, let's see if we can pull out a few Motorhead covers, which we surprisingly did quite well given the level of inebriation that had gone on at the time. And we thought, oh fuck, this feels really good, and we could actually go somewhere with this. We were sort of, you know, playing, I guess, in more maybe street punk sort of bands at the time, but we were quite fond of, I guess, stuff that had veered a little bit more into that sort of maybe more metallic territory, a bit more crust territory, things like Anti-Semex or Sacrilege. And I think we thought, well, no one's really done that down here. We'll give it a go. So we'd kind of fluffed around for probably, you know, another year, really year or two after that, and actually got, oh no, it was about another year after that, and then we'd got to the stage of sort of starting to do a few gigs. We'd got another fella in on bass who was sort of not quite on the same tangent with it.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, and then Ange entered the picture, and then we sort of got the solid lineup. So Ange came in about 2014, and that's when it started really kicking off. And
Yeah, my first gig was with Roger Nomics.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Simon trained me up in a couple of weeks. I was crook as a dog, do you remember?
Oh, I don't remember you being
crook. He taught me all the songs. I was wearing my Cure t-shirt. Like, oh, you need the Cure. I still remember.
Ah, there we go.
And taught me all the songs we played. I think I was a bit shit, but you know,
Yeah.
the rest is history.
But I think it was at that stage that we actually sort of became a full proper band, and then, you know, after that we really sort of, you know, we changed our sound quite a lot. So prior to that we'd actually laid down a bit of recording, but it was after that that, you know, it was sort of really like a more tight unit, and it actually developed, I think, a bit more into that sort of darker sort of, you know, I guess more of a sort of bit of Bathory mixed with that sort of faster stuff that Amoebics were doing.
Yeah.
So it was only then that we really were quite happy with how we sounded, and that's sort of where it kind of kicked off. So
Yeah. Because I had quite a metal background.
Yeah.
The sort of music that I was playing, and I think Mitch might have played some.
We had a bit of both,
that
really, yeah.
Sort of stuff. I love playing fast.
Yeah.
I love trembling fast. And a couple of bands I was in at the time were quite slow, so I was pretty excited.
Whereas I really loved kicking out guitar solos. Most of the bands I was doing were a bit like, oh come on, for fuck's sake, Simon, like, we didn't ask for that. We probably still to play with IRONHAWK, but you know, but you know, no one can fucking tell me what to do with it, so yeah, I get away with it. But you know, it was nice to feel like I'd finally had a band that I could actually do what I wanted to do. And everything I'd done prior, they were all right bands, but there'd be always something a little bit off with them. You know, it'd be like, oh, it's kind of cool riffs, but it's a little bit modern, or it's not very cool riffs, it's a bit basic, but it's kind of all right. And IRONHAWK was probably the first time in my life I thought, if this is the one and only band I ever do from here on, I'll be fucking happy with it. And here we are now. Fighting it out in the golf course. Alright guys, I'm just going to go and have a kiss over here. Oh, fucking check this out. Question number 3. Tell us about what IRONHAWK released prior to the recent LP.
Well, I wasn't on the first release, so I'll let you lads take over this question.
So at the beginning, we laid down a bunch of songs before we'd even really played much in the way of gigs. Which was the Booze Hound from Hell tape. So we'd come up with about 8 or so songs that we were doing. It's an alright release. It wasn't anywhere near as heavy as what we kind of wanted. But you know, there was good stuff on there. And there's some songs that we still do off that. But you know, that was sort of just like a kind of short run of tapes. Which I did get another pressing done of it. But you know, like it was alright songs, but it's like the sound really changed a couple of years later, and I think it was by that stage we were thinking like, oh, we really got to actually put an album out. But I think we thought, oh, let's just get something out. So we put out another 3 songs as an EP, which is Cemetery of Steel EP, and that sounded a lot different. You know, it was hard, it was heavy, it was sort of, you know, it sort of ticked a few of the boxes that we really like, you know, sort of dungeon-like vocals and, you know, wild guitars and drums and bass, and Ange was on the lineup at that stage, so it was a bit more of a release of who we were and what we did. But then, you know, we'd always thought that like, oh, okay, we'll do that and then work on an album. And then, you know, sort of, you know, playing a lot of shows and life in general sort of slowed things down a bit. So there's actually a bit of a big gap between stuff. But a lot of what ended up on the album kind of came from that same era. So really, you know, the EP was the preamble to the album. Yeah. And that was where it's, you know, we sort of, it was a lot darker, a lot meaner, heavier, more raucous, and that sort of got us up to where we are now. So for a long time, you know, there wasn't a great deal to actually show what we've done, because you know, but because I mean, certainly in Australia, you know, we're playing quite a lot, so you know, everyone's pretty familiar with us, yeah. And familiar with stuff. But you know, if you can't put it on a record, you know, time goes on and, like, you know, it can just get lost in history a bit. So we realised that, like, we got to actually put out an LP. Otherwise, it's like, oh, we're just chewing people's ear off. Like, oh, we promise you, we're this fucking good band. You should let us play. But you know, fuck knows what we actually sound like. You know, go and, you know, check out some, you know, really bad YouTube clip of, you know, blown out audio of us. You know, so yeah, that sort of got us up to the present.
We're a very road-tested band. We've played a lot of shows. We
road tested, but product not available at this very moment.
We rode a lot of shit, but that's probably another question.
Yeah. All right, so now's the bit where Mitch and I start skinny dipping. So children, stop watching now. Before we get in, oh, Mitch,
What the fuck's that?
an old franger or something.
Jesus. Question 4. You have a new album out. What was the label and how did you record it?
Oh, well, I can talk a bit about this. And it leads on nicely from our last question. So, don't put that there, I can fucking trip over. So we recorded Cemetery of Steel with a bloke called Luke Trifford, who did the drums with him. And the way that I found out about those guys was I was drunk at the pub and I met this girl called Sarah Trifford, and she had a little, like a card for Valley Sounds. Yeah. Because I've been harping on, I need somewhere to rehearse. Our drummer lives up north. Where's a good place? And she said, well, we have we have valley sounds. So we started rehearsing up there, and then we realised that they do recording as well. So we recorded Cemetery of Steel up there, and we liked it so much. We went with Luke for the next record as well. Super proud to say Mitch recorded those drums out of break, four Red Bulls, I think it was. 4 Red Bulls. No stopping, no mistakes. I was so fucking exhausted.
One take, Mitch.
He did it in one take.
Yeah.
From there, with the latest record, Trent did the rest of the recording for us. We did it at Simon's place in Mount.
Sorry, Castle IRONHAWk, I should say.
Oh, Castle IRONHAWk.
As in my chair, sitting on a chair in my lounge room, Castle IRONHAWk.
Oh, well, we had 2 rooms running. Yeah.
Oh, true, yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
Remember the alarm system?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right, yeah, like I rigged up because I thought, I can't be like running between the rooms to say things. So I set up like all these wiring to, you press a button and a little green light would pop on in the other room to say, yeah, we're
It was great, actually.
So, yeah.
It was great.
Actually, I pulled
so
all of that
funny.
out of the shed the other day. I was looking for something else. I was like, what is fucking wire?
And there was
a
a fucking camera as well, like a surveillance camera.
Oh,
So
yeah,
people in the
that's
lounge
right,
room
yeah.
could watch the person
Yeah,
recording.
yeah.
So we did, I think we did guitars first, then bass, which is kind of a guitar, I suppose. Then we did, then we did some more leads at our place, and then we did also the vocals. I think was probably the last thing.
Castle IRONHAWk.
Castle IRONHAWk.
It's a bit by bit we pieced it together.
And then we had the bloke who did the Cemetery of Steel mastering, Patrick Engel, and I think I got wind of him because I think at the time that Cemetery of Steel was recorded, he was doing some stuff for a band that I was in, Tarot, for Good Heavy Chains, and he was mastering them, sorry.
Yeah.
And so we really liked what he did for them, so we jumped on board with that. He did Cemetery of Steel, so naturally if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So go with him again, and he actually did 2 masters. He did one for tape and vinyl, and he did one for CD as well. So yeah, he's done some pretty good shit actually. Some other bands in Europe and stuff. So yeah.
He knew what we were after, and so that kind of gave us, sort of a full album of kind of, a sort of similar sound to what we'd been doing. So it was a really nice way to follow up. Yeah. I think in this day and age, like we the way people access music hasn't really been with that sort of full album in mind. People put things together as songs because that's the way we consume music a lot of the time. And I think there's something really to be said about an album that is designed to go from start to finish as a full process and a full experience, and that can take you somewhere. And I think even like a lot of sort of early punk bands kind of did that too. Like if you think about something like Anti-Sect and Darkness, There Is No Choice. You don't pull those songs out one by one. You really sit down and cause, it's really bloody hard to find where the songs start anyway on the album because there's all stuff in between them, and that's. And I always wanted that. I always wanted to be like, no, if you're going to listen to us, you're going to sit down for 45 bloody minutes and get into it.
Except when you flip the record over.
Well, of course, you have an intermission in between. Yeah. That's right, yeah, you can go have a wee. Alright.
Nice. Hey!
Let's go. Fucking itchy ass. Wait a second. Can you scratch it? Yeah. What's going on there? Oh.
What is that?
Tell us about the album artwork.
What album?
Stewie Cole, who I'd played in a band with Stewie Cole years ago and had kind of known him for years. And he was I say he was a big fan. I hope he still is a big fan of Ironhawk. I'd always liked the idea of using his artwork because it was like looking into a vortex of stuff. He could do these really detailed paintings that you could just get completely lost in, and kind of lots of really sort of grim, kind of diabolical sort of textures on that. And I thought, well, that's there's a lot of good artists doing stuff in the punk scene these days, but Stewie's stuff I think was really in tandem with what the album was doing, and that sort of almost sort of gritty kind of texture that the album had, with the recording that we had. So I thought, well, it was a no-brainer to sort of get his stuff. I kind of, went through a few ideas of what I wanted, and kind of gave a few drafts, and he kind of took that back and spent a few weeks on it. And then, we sort of tweaked things here and there, and came up with something that I think, when you see it on the full sort of 12-inch album, it's just like, that's, your eyes get lost in it, and I really wanted that. I wanted something that people could just be, kind of, sort of staring into, and going, oh, where am I, I quite like the complexity of it, was really appealing. I think, sometimes a simple album cover works really well, to be really powerful, but, because the way we've sort of done the album was there's so many layers and so many sort of interweaving things that came in and out of it, and a lot of sort of extraneous sort of bits that we kind of added in on it. I think at one point we even had the sound of a chainsaw in the background, although I think it didn't sound as good as what we thought it would actually. But because we sort of had a lot of detail on it, we thought, well, I really want the artwork to kind of have a lot of that too. And Stewie sort of, he kind of mixes sort of that, like almost like sort of really intense sort of dripping kind of metal stuff, but still kind of having that almost discharged sort of like stark black and white sort of feel to it as well. And so we thought, well, he's got that best of both worlds, and that's what we were doing. It's what we still do, is that we kind of take a lot of that, intricate metal stuff, but we also kind of still have that like just straight out kind of fast rocking punk stuff, in your face sort of punk stuff. So what his artwork was really sort of where our heads were at with the album. So that worked out really well.
Yeah, it looks fucking good on the shirt.
Yeah.
The poster looks cool too.
Yeah. So
Plus he's Tasmanian.
oh,
That is a test.
I support it. Supporting local businesses here, as we are with our Pumpers Golf Course. So so
World's best golf course. Probably.
World's best golf course, I've heard, and I'm sure they've tested that out everywhere. So All right. I think there's something blocking this hole. I reckon that's why it's taken so bloody long to do this. What do you know? Question 7.
They just keep coming, don't they?
They do keep coming. What influences the songwriting of IRONHAWK? Ooh, there's a lot to that question. IRONHAWK is sort of lyrically conjured up from, I suppose, the diabolical trajectory of this fucking world. It is actually, I think, set in a very real place that is the world in this day and age that is effectively cast into fucking flames by the inane greed and nepotism and, horrendous fucking conservative and miserably capitalist shit that we actually have to go through. And I always like that stuff, and I think when you really fucking think about things, if you really think about the state of the world and the state of the planet and where the trajectory we're going, that is as diabolical as fucking the metal lyrics that you would sort of get. And I always thought, well, why is it that, people piss about with how they tackle things like, the impending fucking extinction of life itself. And to think that, we can't actually sort of bring the reality of that to the table. And I've always felt like, well, what's left? You can't write something in the paper. That, you can't fucking get something published that says what things are. And punk has always been there to kind of say what can't be said elsewhere. And maybe 40 years ago, all that needed to be said was, fuck you, I want to be young or whatever. Or maybe, just, fuck everything and fuck off. But I think nowadays, you kind of think, well, actually, there's fucking horrible shit going on in the world, and no one can say anything about it. And people are speechless, and that's where we think, well, actually, punk is actually still just as relevant a vessel for that now. But I always felt like lyrically, you know, I really like the power that, you know, bands like, you know, sort of that, you know, Crass and even all that sort of early punk had. But I really like the idea that you can actually set that to some killer music as well, because that's going to carry it a lot better, and people are going to be much more inclined to. And it also means there's something for everyone, because not everyone needs to think about the shit things of this world. So lyrically, that's kind of where IRONHAWK comes from, but musically, it's kind of from the opposite. I mean, I live in, you know, there's this sort of beautiful rolling fucking hills of the Tasmanian bush, and you know, you sort of look out the window and you just see nothing but, you know, trees and mountains and rocks, and I think that sort of epicness, you know, that's something you want to kind of almost translate musically, to, you know, to give that feel of you know, intense kind of magnitude, and I think that's where that sort of, you know, more maybe metal influence of IRONHAWK came in, but then there's still that sort of speed and franticness, because that's evoking that sort of sense of tension that you effectively have in a world like we have, and the trajectory of the world like we have, where no one knows where we're fucking going, and no one knows where this is going to end, and it's probably not going to be good. In our lifetime, we're probably going to have a fight for our survival on a fucking forsaken land of death. And I don't think people realise that that's actually a real thing, you know? I mean, when we're putting this album together, everywhere around in the Huon was on fire. You know, like we were, you know, like smoke was everywhere, you know? And it's like, you know, when people compare that to the apocalypse, it's like you're comparing real life to a metaphor of real life. This is real life, this is happening, you know, this is actually what we're actually experiencing. And people just don't get that, like, you know, this is a real thing that's going on. And you know, that's where it's always going to be more of a punk band, because it's always actually set in the now. It's not an imaginary world that conjures up. It's a real world, but maybe more sort of poetically and lyrically delved into, rather than the more sort of topical and, you know, sort of tangible lyrical content that, say, a lot of early punk had, which I respect that, and I really like that too, but I kind of felt like it was easier to deliver heavy, you know, metaphysically challenging concepts via a more sort of lyrical, poetic kind of form than maybe the sort of "this is how it is" kind of lyrics, which there's room for that, but that often is more something that you do for things that are very, like, particular, very topical. Some of this stuff that the album deals with, it's very broad concepts, it's very conceptual, and I think that you sort of need to maybe kind of look almost from this really sort of outside point of view inwards to that, or it's a bit more sort of cryptic, and I think that's kind of good in some ways, because it means if someone just really can't be bothered with that and they really hate that sort of stuff, they can access what they like out of it, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Or you can kind of delve deeper into it. So yeah. You know, but you know, that's sort of where it's at, you know, and that's sort of what it means. Welcome to Castle IRONHAWK.
Castle IRONHAWK!
Castle IRONHAWK.
Old Crow, deliver the questions.
Fuck off, cunt.
Question 8. Thanks, Crone.
No worries. Baby.
If IRONHAWK could be a movie soundtrack, for what movie would it be? Well, I guess I can't say Mad Max, can I? I would probably have to go with Stone.
Stone?
Yeah, that's a solid one, I think. Bad Boy Bubby. What do you reckon?
Who's Bubby? Yeah, I think
I think we're
I always liked the aesthetic of the sort of cheesy apocalyptic films that were kind of a bit more B-grade, like She-Wolves of the Wasteland and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I always feel like IRONHAWK is probably, you know, something on that sort of, you know, stripped back budget B-grade, sort of poor man's Mad Max-esque sort of film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Young Einstein.
Young Einstein.
He's from Tassie, another one.
Yeah. Ooh, Z-grade, yeah.
Z-grade, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, porn.
Yeah, actually,
That's money, porn.
we could make well anyone want a soundtrack? We'll happily make the next concept album.
We'll play live as well.
Oh, true, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, maybe threads.
Threads.
Sort of
Yeah.
nuclear apocalypse sort of landscape. But maybe the nicer aspects of IRONHAWK, probably gardening Australia, Fern Gully.
Fern Gully's a good movie.
Yeah.
We're environmental.
Yeah. That's for sure.
All right. Fucking hell. Oh, wait. What would be IRONHAWK's preferred form of transport should we be told to choose between the last of the V8 Interceptors, a Subaru gyrocopter, or a camel? What do we reckon, guys?
I'd say Mel Gibson still.
I was imagining a giant.
I'd go the camel. Apparently, camel's milk's quite good for it. So, you know.
Subarus are indestructible.
No, that makes me think of
yeah.
Camel Man.
I've
What
had that many Falcons and
what
they've all
about
got
the Ford
fucked door
Falcon?
handles, so I'm not going that anymore.
I think a gigantic hawk.
Got a giant.
An IRONHAWK.
Yeah.
I
There we
mean,
go, yeah.
that's like fantasy.
Yeah.
That's apocalyptic.
Yeah,
That's appropriate.
That's true.
A V8 hawk.
Yeah. Well, you could give it a gyro. You could give it a hat with a propeller on top that'll give it a sort of gyrocopter property, as well
That would
as
fit our aesthetic.
and it could be a hawk that spits everywhere and has a hump on its back as well. So, I think you could really mash all three together. It would work.
Yeah.
It would work. But no, that I
Like
think
a big bird.
like a big
A really big fucking bird.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Oh, look, I'm coming back. Hop. Yeah.
Ooh.
It's like.
So concludes the IRONHAWK Warpath Putter's quest.
Simon shot both my balls.
Here you go.
I'm finding myself way too intense.
Yeah, let's pretend. Yeah.
When they do the fucking triangle or something.
Yeah.
You left-handed bitch, what the fuck are you doing?
We're so
We're dickheads. I love it.